Good afternoon, everyone. And the next topic in Module 5 is using web services. In the last class, we have discussed about network programs, right? Network programs. And in network programs, you talked about first thing like how to process a text file using HTTP, how to process a text file in HTTP. And second, how to get an image over HTTP. And next to that, we have discussed about a few more things like URL, LIP, and then we have discussed about regular expressions using this parsing documents in HTML, XML, and at last one most important package like Beautiful Soap. And next, the difference between wget and curl command in Python. Okay, so the next is about web services. I mean, how Python can be used for web services. We use Python like and now it is little bit easy to retrieve and pass documents over HTTP using programs like using Python programs. And I hope you will be aware with you will be knowing the basics of HTML, but whereas the XML is also same something related to HTML, but structure will be a little bit different, and we will be talking about HTML and XML in this particular topic. And it will be better if you have a basic idea of HTML and XML. If you don't have any knowledge on XML, that's fine, but try to have a little bit knowledge on HTML tags and how HTML web page can be designed. And just I've just listened to any of the videos in YouTube about telling about like what is HTML and basics of HTML for 10-15 minutes video. That is more enough to have basic idea, fundamental idea of this HTML. Okay, so now what we'll be doing is like how Python can be applied for these process. And we have two common formats that we use for data exchanging across the web. I mean, we have two formats which we use when exchange data across the web. One is XML and second one is JSON. And what is XML is like extensible markup language. It is called HTML, and it was there in the market for the last from the past time, and which is best suited for exchanging document style data. And when programs, we talk about exchange dictionaries, list for other internal information, and we use JSON, that is JavaScript object notation. So JavaScript object notation, and we will be looking at but we will be talking about both these formats in the next upcoming slides. So XML, see, XML is just similar to HTML, but the structure of XML is little bit different than HTML. And you can see a simple code in XML. When you talk about HTML, it should start with, for example, if I the basics of HTML you I mean how to create an HTML file, small HTML document that you have discussed in the last class, right? So I will be using anchor tags. I will be using close and open anchor tags. If I am opening a head tab, I should use anchor tag. I should use red, and at the end I should close the same tag with a slash, right, with a backward slash. So backward slash person, and here you can see like this person, for example. Here you can see this person, and this is a person which is opened with the anchor tag, and which is closed at the end with the forward slash. And this represents, this is an element, or this is a node with the same tag. So person slash person. So this is the node or element. This can be called as node or element, and each element can have some text, some attributes, and some nested elements. It can be of anything. So if an XML element is empty, I mean if that has no content, then it can be represented with a self-closing tag. It can be represented with a self-closing tag. How to represent it as this is a self-closing tag. Here you can see email, and then you can see followed by a slash, and then you can see anchor tags, right? So you can see like backward slash and then followed by anchor tag. So it conveys that it is an XML element, but it is empty, right? It has no content in it. You can see here email ID equal to yes, and you are closing it, so it has no content to it. Whereas if you look at the other elements, person, name, and name or something like phone, and the other thing with phone. So phone is of type integer. I will be specifying it as INTL, so it is an XML, right? So it is about a basic small program in XML, and how it is getting different from HTML. So we will not be talking about depth in XML, HTML, but let us discuss in overall about XML and HTML. And you can see a diagram. It is a tree representation of the XML program which you have seen in the last slide. The last slide has XML program, right? And this is the tree representation of it. So it is helpful in thinking, it is helpful in making an XML document as a tree structure, and where there is a top element is a person, and other tags like a phone number are drawn as children of their parent, I mean, for example. And if you take this person is going to be the tree structure. Since it is starting from here, that will be the top element, that will be the root element, and other than next to this, like a name, phone type, all these will be taken as children's, right? All these will be taken as children's. And here phone we have given as a type of integer, and we are specifying it as type of integer. And in the other we have given like email as id equal to yes, here it should be email. Okay, and there's a small representation of a tree which is a tree representation equivalent to an XML program, XML program. And parsing HTML, how to parse in XML and how to extract the data from XML. So here is a simple program, simple application that passes some XML and which helps you in extracting some data elements from the XML. And you can see the header file like import xml.etree.element3 as et. So here you can consider this element tree, tree representation of an XML. And if you look into this, like a data equal to triple single quote, it is a triple single quote. Whereas in Python we use a triple single quote or triple double quote, which tells you that it has strings, right? Which tells you that it has string, that's one multiple lines, it has strings. And here you can see like from where the XML starts, like person name, within this triple quote I'm passing this string and closing this triple quotes here. That is the meaning of it. So it contains a span multiple lines, first person, next name, phone, and email. It is not having any email ID in it, and person. And what I'm trying to do is I'm doing tree equal to et dot from string data. And when I use a from string, what it does is from string converts the string representation of the HTML into a tree of XML element. So this conversion will be done by from string. Okay, so this from string will help you to convert the string representation of the XML into a tree of XML elements. Okay, so when XML is a tree, we have series of methods we can call to extract portions of data from XML string. And the next to that you can see a find element, you can see a find function. This searches through the XML tree and retrieves the element that matches the specified tag. Okay, and retrieves the element that matches the specified tag. Here the element is name. Okay, so it is going to search throughout the I have passed here name. It is going to search throughout the program, which is going to search from the tree, like tree, that is element tree, which is going to search throughout the element, and it is going to retrieve the name. I have only one name chunk. So as a result of this first line I can get chunk, name chunk. And second I can see attribute tree find email get hide. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the attribute email, right? I'm trying to get attribute email, and where I don't have any other value but I assign with a string character like yes. So I will be getting a result as like email attribute is yes, that attribute is email. Okay, and now this is what the expected output of this program. Okay, so like from string will help you to represent an XML into a tree XML elements, and you can extract portions of data from the SQL string. That's what I told you in the program. And this find function searches through the XML tree and retrieves the element that matches the specified tag. As a result you will get a name chunk and attribute yes. Okay, and next will be about looping through nodes. So this XML has multiple nodes. XML can process multiple nodes where we need to write a loop. So we can use a loop to process all the nodes in it. And the last example which you considered as only name, just name only one name with one user. If I have multiple number of users, or if I have more number of attributes, then I will be having something called multiple number of nodes. There I can use loop in it. Okay, now let's see. And this is the same program which has been modified little bit from the last example. So import xml.etree.element3 as et. and input. See, in input, like when using input, we'll be getting the input from the user. So this is passed as input to this program. So stuff user x is equal to 2, user I say users is the parent, and sub to this again is user. There's a small difference in it, right? So users will be user 1 and the other one is user 2. So your user x is equal to 2, your user x is equal to 7. So I have two users in it. So first user is x equal to 2 and second user is x equal to 7. Okay, and id 001 and 009. So totally I have two set of data within this string. So this will be given in input. Now, so I told you like a from string which is used to extract things from XML into a tree, and this will be passed thus to those input variable into this stuff. Okay, and this will be passing it as through this input. Now first is equal to stuff dot find all users slash user. What I'm trying to find is I'm trying to find first will get you the data of x is equal to 2, id of first, and for item in list print name item dot find name dot text, and id item dot find id dot text attribute item dot get dot text. It is going to print, let's see this. The find all method retrieves a python of subtrees. The find all method retrieves a python of retrieve a python list of subtrees that represent the structure in the XML tree, and we use a term like find all statement, right? And see, the output of this the output of this will be, when I do this, I have given like item in list print name. Okay, for item in list first time will be trying to do with the this first. Okay, so first it will be pointing to user 1. So as I can see name, I'm trying to do with the name, right? I'm going to get the name as chunk. Okay, I'm going to get the name as chunk. Before that I have one more thing called user count, where length of first. So your user count is 2. I will be getting this user count as 2. So name, I mean first I will be getting the name as chunk, right? So id is 2 IDs. I will be getting 2 IDs 001 002, and attribute I will be getting two things 2 and 7. So attribute I will be getting 2 and 7. So this is the output result for this program, right? And the next thing is we will be trying to do, one thing you can try with this program is you can try to do the same thing. You can try to pass even the second username separately, first username separately. So display first user and then display second user, and the second one is JavaScript object notation, which is called JSON. Say like this JSON was inspired by object and array format used in the JavaScript language. But since Python was invented before this JavaScript, Python syntax for dictionaries, right? Python syntax for dictionaries we call as like key value pairs, right? So in Python dictionaries we use curly braces, and within this we use value, and we will use colon, and then we will use value, right? So key value pair. So it is called as like a key value pair. So in here we have that key value pair in JSON. Okay. So Python syntax for dictionaries and list includes the where the syntax of JSON and Python almost both are same. And now let us have an equivalent JSON code for XML. So initially we started with HTML, and then we looked at an example of same in XML, and now the same in JSON. And you can see the example of JSON. Okay, here we can see the same example of JSON where it starts with name chunk. So it is the same thing which I have passed in XML, name chunk, and found I have given the type as INTEL. So found I have given as type as INTEL, and now I'm passing the number. And next to that I have two things. One is email. So within that email I'm returning, I have not passed any email of it, just it is showing id is. Okay, so here you can note some differences from that to this. So first in XML we can add attributes like INTL to the phone tag. In JSON we have simple key value pairs, like we have simple key value pairs. This is called name is key and chunk is value, that is key value pair. and even XML is also replaced by a set of curly braces. So in normal, it is in general, you can JSON structures are very simpler than XML, and the reason that JSON has the advantage, it maps directly to some combination of directories and lists, whereas JSON can map directly to some combination of directories and list, whereas Python dictionary and list, when comparing to that, this is a very native format. I mean, it is a very natural format to have two cooperating programs which exchange data. So we are talking about two things, right? One is JSON and one is XML. So we can use these two formats to exchange the data over web services using Python. Okay, and now let us see parsing JSON. How to parse in JSON? So we construct a JSON by nesting dictionaries and listers as needed, and if you look into it, you can see all letters only like dictionaries. Okay, so in this example, what we do is we represent a list of users where each user is a set of key value pair, so that we will be having a list of dictionaries. So import JSON data, what I'm passing is ID equal to 1. So ID is equal to 1 and again ID equal to 9. I can see like two set of data values, and this is key, this is value, this you know well as in terms of dictionary. And now let's compare this to equivalent XML data. See, here we are getting a result of JSON value pairs, and when comparing to this XML, it is little bit different, right? And we have one more thing called next to this data, we have one more thing called JSON.load, and you can see info JSON.load. Wait, give me a minute. Sorry, in this program, it is one statement is missing, like info is equal to JSON dot loads. You need to call a method called info equal to JSON dot loads. So what that method will be doing is this JSON dot loads is a Python list which traversed with a for loop, and which will get you each item within that list as a Python dictionary. So once this JSON has been parsed, we can see the Python index operator to extract the various bits of data of each user, and this program will return you the output. See, what I'm trying to do is I'm using a for item in info, I'm printing name item name, right? I'm printing name item, I'm printing ID, I'm printing attribute, right? So I'm printing name, I'm printing ID, I'm printing attribute. As a result, I can get user count, name, ID, attribute, and again name, ID, attribute. So it is like a trend, and now industries are getting, trending move from XML towards JSON for web services, and you can see most of the industries are using Python, and Python. Now we have JavaScript, JSON, and you can see JS Node. All these are now being used widely in web services and even used in most of the IT companies. Okay, but one thing is like XML is more self-descriptive than JSON. XML is more descriptive than JSON, but there are some applications where XML retains an advantage. For example, like word processor store documents internally using XML. Word processor store documents internally using XML rather than JSON. JSON is not used over there, it uses only XML. And this is about the overview of JSON and XML. And the next will be application programming interface, API. So you know the meaning of interface is a middle one which will be helping you to communicate with the other guy, that is interface. And if you go to ATM machine, when you insert an ATM card, you can see in ATM screen will be asking it will prompt for input the key. It is a simple example for interface. We use one more term called GUI, graphical user interface, and here we use the term called API. So this API is the general name for application to application contract. That's what I can say. So API is a common general name for application to application contract. So here we have the ability to exchange data between HTTP, exchanging data between applications using HTTP hypertext transfer protocol, and and to exchange messages, to exchange some data or applications between XML or JSON. So even we can exchange the data between XML and JSON using APIs. And let's see what's API in brief. Okay, so this using this API we can define and document contracts between applications using technique. That's what I told you, and it is a communication between application to application contract end. So we use API generally like one program make a set of services available for use by other applications, where one program will make you a set of services available that can be used by other applications and publishes that API. I mean the rules that must be followed to access the services provided by the program. And when you talk about API, there is one more term related to this is called SOA, service oriented architecture. So what is the meaning of this SOA, service oriented architecture? So like when we build our programs, the functionality of our program includes access to services provided by other programs. See, I have a program, I build a program where the functionality of that is including the access to services, is including where the functionality of that includes some other program, or it will be asking some other programs to help to do the task, to complete its task. That is called that approach is called service oriented architecture. So it is one where our overall application makes the services of other applications. For example, there is one small example in the next slide. We shall see that in detail. Okay, so a non-SOA approach is where the application is a single standalone application that contains the code necessary to implement the application. So non-SOA application is something like what you can choose. It is a single application. When you start passing some request over it, you will be getting response from the same application. You will not be redirecting. You will not be requesting some other applications to provide services to it. You will not be connecting. You will not be contracting or communicating with the other services. That is called non-SOA approach. I can show you a small example. See, here you can see a small example like what it is. A travel application is a single site, and the example you can also take is like Gobibo, or you can take Yatra. You can go with Appy EasyGo. If you go with Appy EasyGo, it is a website. It is a single website. It is like an UI, so which helps you to book railway tickets, which helps you to book hotel reservations also. Like when you go for booking an airline ticket reservation, it is, I mean, when you go for booking airline ticket reservation, once if you have done with that, like once if you are done with the airline ticket reservation, it will suggest you for even for to book hotels. But this hotel information will not be get stored in airline servers, right? Will not be get stored in airline computers, but instead it makes a contact between the services of this and services of that, and which will help you to fetch the data which will help you to retrieve the hotel data and present it to the user. So it is called a simple SOA architect. It is called a simple SOA example application. I hope it is understood for you. Like if I have just a travel application, I have one application like a travel application. The symbol is also like even Redbus app. So this app will allow you to book tickets. If you book a ticket from like Bangalore to Mysore, so it will also show you some hotels in Mysore, so that where it will suggest you some things, so that which will even help you to book tickets to that particular area. And also you can see some sites like Yatra, Make My Trip, which will help you to book airlines, which will help you to book railways, which will help you to book roadways, which will help you to book even hotel reservations. But this airline services is not going to hold the data of hotels. Hotels is not going to hold the data of the other ones. But whereas to access this, it will be acting as like a contact, it will contact that, and which will help you to, and which will retrieve the data, and which will display to users, right? So that user can process the things. And when it comes to payment, like a transaction, there are few websites, few pages where I have selected one thing from, I have booked one flight, I have booked one hotel, and I can do a single payment transaction for both. That is also possible. Like it is also one small kind of SOA. And in addition to this, you can take Amazon. And if you place an order on Amazon, like you can see your order, if you are trying to make 3 to multiple orders, you can see that I mean like the shipment from where you're getting the product will not be same. One product A may be different, product B may be different, product C may be different, but the at all I mean that as a destination user will be the only one. So user A is going to place an order like item 1, item 2, item 3. For example, let me be the user A. Look, I will be the user A. So I'm placing an order in an Amazon. I'm ordering an TV. I'm ordering a laptop. I'm placing a laptop order. I'm placing and one more item called like mobile. So let me take these three things. So this mobile laptop, television, TV. These three things are not provided by a single vendor, right? So this three is not provided by a single vendor. I can see there are three different vendors who will be doing three different shipments. But as a result, once if I see the order ID will be common, right? The order ID will be common. Even the payment also will be commonly made for all the three things. I will not be doing it separately. It is also one kind of service. So which one object is offering to the other object? So which one is offering to the other one, and the other one is offering to the other one. So it is how this SOA works. So service oriented architecture works, and it has many advantages. So first, it maintains only one copy of data. You do not have multiple copies. You do not have multiple replicas over it. And second, the owner of the data. I mean, if I am the owner of the data, I can set the rules about how to use that data. Like if two or more users are allowed to book a ticket, even for example, if I'm trying to book a ticket, it can be using Redbus or using IRCTC or using some other thing. If I book a ticket where other user can also book the same ticket, so what will happen if both the users are booking the same ticket? I mean booking the same seat. This again will be resulting in a conflict, right? So one thing which IRCTC and other websites is following is like it will freeze only for few seconds, and the person who is doing the transaction first, who is completing the transaction first, and for them the seat will be reserved. And the other one, maybe in railways you can get waiting list, or you can get the next preferred seat. Okay, so these are few advantages of SOA. And we can when an application makes a set of services in its API available over the web, we call these as web services. Web services are a set of services in its API available over the web, that is called web services. So how Python is helping these web services is, one is like using Python, we are exchanging, we are interacting, we are connecting with HTML, we are parsing with XML, we are parsing with JSON, right? Even if you can have this even on this the other applications which we have discussed. Okay, and the next one will be security and API usage, about how it is secure and how to use. So like API is to make it is used to make use of vendors API. We use vendors API as railway ticket reservation. I told you like Redbus. So these are vendors API. So the common idea is that they want to know who is using their service and how much each user is using. That is the basic idea behind API. Just we can know like what is who is using the services and how much each user is using. And other thing is like here we have few more parameters on the URL when you call using API. And you can see one more thing called OAuth. OAuth is called like open authentication. So what is use of this open authentication? For example, like in some cases you can see even rail ticket reservation, some other things you can see insurance. So you can see insurance related to it. It is also one service of SOA. And when vendor wants increase the assurance of the source of the request, so that you can expect you to send some cryptographically signed message to improve the security, to improve the safetyness of a user if I do some kind of transaction. As I told you, like one thing about SSL, secure socket connection, so which you have discussed in related to socket. So when you do some kind of payment transaction using net banking or credit card or debit card, you can see SSL encryption scheme, right? So when I do some kind of transaction, if it is like a business transaction, it needs a security, it needs a proper secure manner where my data should not be get hacked by others, or my data should not be get stored on any other places, right? so like net banking passwords and credit card, debit card informations. So for that we need some kind of security, and here we can use like a cryptographically signed, which also called digital signatures. Some places you can use digital signatures, and a common technology to use these sign requests over the internet is called OAuth. It is open authentication, and you can know about this more about this open authentication using this website oauth.net. It talks only about the authentication, how to make the how to get authenticated, how to browse authenticated things. That is alone it is talking about entire things. So there are a number of convenient and there are a number of free open authentication libraries, so which helps you to avoid writing and implementations from the scratch. When you start doing it, you can start using the libraries. You will not to write the program from the scratch. Okay, so it is about security and API usage. And the important terms that we have discussed in this session are: one is API, that is application program interface. It is a contract between applications, as I told you, contract between application where both interacts. And second, element tree. So it is an inbuilt Python library, so which is used to parse XML data. We have one thing like from string, right? We have one thing like from string, which converts the given XML into a tree form. And third is JSON, JavaScript object notation. It is a format that allows for the markup of structured data based on syntax of JavaScript objects. And third one is SOA. So where an application is made of component that is connected across a network, where one application talks with the service of the other application, and it can also get the service from multiple other application services. And last one is like XML, extensible markup language, the format that allows for the markup of structured data. So one is HTML, second one is XML. So we are using web services started with HTML, second XML, and third JSON. And particularly in this using web services, we have discussed two things. One is XML, second one is JSON, and next to that we are talking about the other most important thing called APIs, right? And next to that we are talking about the other most important thing called APIs. In APIs we have discussed about SOA, service oriented architecture. So this is about like how Python is using, how we are using web services. Okay, and there are two applications available in your textbook, like Google geocoding web service. One is Google geocoding web service, and there is one more web service is provided and one more web service application is provided Twitter, like a Twitter API, and which is that uses an API and which uses this open authenticated signatures on each API request. So to know about these things and to get much idea about it, you can have a glance on these applications. So one application is talking about Google and one is talking about API Twitters. So this is about using web services, and in next we shall talk about using databases and SQL. Thank you.